I hope everybody's ready for some more poisonous swamp adventures, because we have quite a ways to go before this level is completed. We start off, after the first fog gate, on this scaffolding that's heading upwards. But it's not a particularly lonely trip. We'll have plenty of friends along for the ride, including mosquitoes. Now, if you only play Dark Souls, you might think these are infinitely spawning, nasty sons of bitches. Well, they are nasty sons of bitches, but they don't infinitely spawn. They appear at set points, so you can actually plan around them as you go through the level. And they also drop upgrade stones. I believe it's marrow stones. So if you're looking to make a fatal weapon, you might actually want to come back here and farm them for a bit. I don't recommend it though, as it's hell just getting to this part of the level, and I don't relish the possibility of voluntarily going through it more than I absolutely have to. The blood vomit attack is particularly nasty. Depending on where the mosquito is, they can actually get over your shield and just hit you with it. It'll act kind of like you've been hit in the back if the mosquito is above you and they just kind of drop blood on your head. It's also exceedingly gross. And a lot of times the mosquitoes are challenging because they're programmed to come back down to your level so that you could fight them fairly, but they often get stuck on geometry or don't know what to do based on how you're moving, and so they just kind of hang where they are, and you can't get close to them because they'll spit all over your head, and you can't not deal with them because they're in your way. It's kind of obnoxious. And they also have problems with these scaffolds as well. Sometimes one will be trying to fly up to you and just get caught beneath. And that's no fun for anybody. Those two depraved ones, unfortunately for them, were lined up in just such a way that Soul Ray could get them both. I was very lucky that both were in range and the ray didn't fizzle out right after hitting the first target. These depraved ones also drop black turpentine, in addition to dropping powerful healing items like dark moon grass. You can actually pick up a lot of really good items here. Oh, and while I'm on the subject of item drops, this is the only of the 3 Souls games at this point that has a dedicated luck stat that you can put points into to increase the overall drop rate. It doesn't increase the quality of the items that you get, it just increases the chance that something will drop, much like Humanity and the covetous Gold Serpent Ring do. But one of the interesting things about this game is that in addition to having that particular stat, there's even a weapon that scales off of it. And that just kind of blows my mind a bit. You can't actually tell in-game, it's one of those things you have to look up, but the fact that there even is something that does that, it kind of makes you marvel at the amount of work that went into this game. Alright. Probably not ever going to use this black turpentine, even though I really should, since I have no melee means. Basically, I have no weapon that deals fire damage. There's one that I know of that I can get at some point, but that's not going to be for a while yet. And it's also one that has to be upgraded with colorless demon souls, so I don't know. We'll see. I might also want to use them for the weapon that we're going to pick up here, just as soon as I make sure that I'm not falling into the muck. There we go. Alright. So what we're heading towards is the actual... It's a more recognizable town than the first part of the level was. Like, previously it was kind of an apartment complex built into the wall of the valley. This is more of like a town situated in the middle of a valley. And also the frame rate in there gets so bad due to all the flies and pestilence and awfulness that it it actually managed to screw up the recording a bit. And the other thing about these mosquitoes is that they have an impressive range. Dark Moongrass, for the record, gives you a full heal and heals all your status ailments. So really it's the perfect item to have here. Ah, and there's Mosquito, demonstrating that it really has problems when it starts too far above and has to come down to your level. Fortunately, it didn't see fit to attack, otherwise things could have gotten a little hairy. Alright, so our goal in the mid portion of this level is to get that sword that I was talking about previously. It's called the Large Sword of Moonlight. Requires 24 faith to wield, which is why I had to get my faith up to 24 beforehand. Scales with faith, obviously. But the unique thing about the sword is that it is unblockable. I believe it also does all magic damage, like the Moonlight Butterfly Horn in Dark Souls, but don't quote me on that. What I do know is that it is unblockable for strange reasons. The game claims that it's a sword made entirely out of light, but also that it's made out of crystal, so not really sure how that works. And to get it, we have to play with our good friends, the Slugs. Yep, they make another appearance here, after previously appearing in the Shrine of Storms, because this is their home. They have a nest here. If I can just get the camera tilted up. That's a little hard to see, but it is up there, and it is built around the sword. You can sort of see it up there. So to actually get at the sword, we have to make our way up to the nest and destroy it, and then come back down and deal with all of the slugs where the sword will have fallen. And it's all in a poison swamp. So one thing that I can do is at least take out these slugs, because they won't respawn when the nest falls down, and it will lower the chance of getting surrounded and swarmed by these guys later. I mean, there are 3 of them right now, and they're slow moving, but they can cause some serious harm if they manage to get all the way around me. There you go. That's an okay view. But to get to the scaffolding that leads up to that nest, we have to deal with some pretty tough customers. There are 2 giant depraved ones in the way. Additionally, there is a depraved shaman magician guy who you can see because he has a purple cloud around him. The purple cloud is a hint as to what spell he casts. Give you an extra hint, it's a spell that we have and have cast before to great effect. It also generates a purple cloud. And that guy looks like he wants to join the fight right away. Alright. So the thing to do is definitely to back off. And we want to drag the giant depraved one, hopefully out of the poison range of this guy. And we definitely are fortunate that he died and couldn't come chase us out into the swamp. That would have gone incredibly bad. Huh. Honestly, I'm not entirely certain what happened there. I believe that the magician might have had a knife in his hands and just gave me a little nick while I was attacking him. With my reduced health, it was enough to kill me. because the depraved one did take off my second chance shield. So we're going to take no chances this time and do this encounter properly and drag the depraved ones back. Back, 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 back to somewhere where the magician isn't going to think it's clever to join the fight. And like before, the key is to be able to roll. And the key is also to not roll into his swings, because that doesn't go very well. That was... well, this is just a really poor fight on my part. And it's going to cost me 100 MP, which is a lot. To put it into perspective, each Flame Toss costs 9 MP, each Soul Ray costs 15. So casting Second Chance once is the equivalent of 11 Flame Tosses. And about... oh, what would it be? Slightly less than 8 Soul Rays. And because I've got so many points in magic, it does reduce my effectiveness in combat, having to spend all that MP on second chance. It really is mandatory, though. And there is rolling out of the way in the correct direction. Excellent. Went far better. And this time, since I know about this guy's knifing proclivities, I'm going to take him out from afar with magic and fire. Now these guys... oh man. Poisoned. I guess I stepped into the swamp. How unfortunate. What is fortunate is that those magicians drop both faint stones and old spices. And they are, in this area, as far as I can tell, the only way to get your hands on spices. The filthy woman, the vendor from the previous part of the stage, should be here somewhere, but I've actually never found her. What I have found is the way up to the slug nest. But between it and us is an obnoxious army of mosquitoes that have been chasing me for quite a while, and I didn't exactly realize it until now. That is a lot of mosquitoes. These guys eat through your stamina pretty quickly. There we go. Ah yes, Marrowstone. The corpses also wash away in the swamp sometimes. And of course it's only the ones that have items, because From Software hates you and everything you stand for. Now you can tell that you're on the right path here because it has slugs on it, pretty inexplicably. It's almost like they're trying to guard the nest, except they're not even facing the right direction to do so. And I just don't want that sucker stone enough to jump off. It's not worth it. This guy's facing the right way. And he stepped into that fireball. There was no way it was going to hit him. Yep, that's exactly what would have happened if the previous one hadn't moved forward. Honestly, these guys are kind of a waste of magic. And we are just about there. I'll tell you what's a bigger waste of magic, though. It's trying to use magic actually on the nest itself to knock it down. Now, in my defense, I did not know at the time that this thing just wasn't going to fall down from pelting it with spells. I mean, I can understand if it takes a certain amount of damage or whatever to make it fall, but I mean, I pumped this thing full of spells. 2 soul rays, 3 soul rays, 4 soul rays, 5 soul rays. I mean, you'd think that'd be enough. And a flame toss. So really, there's only one thing left to do. I'm King Effing Frost, and this is Jackass. Back at it. And keep in mind that because there's no bonfires, I had to do the entire level again up to this point. Now the slugs have formed a defensive... well, it's actually almost like the Phalanx boss from the start. They're in a defensive formation around the large Sword of Moonlight. I don't know what it is about that sword that they like so much, but they will literally die to protect it. In this case, since you can't really get them with spells, the trajectory is weird and makes them go into the swamp instead of into the snails, or the slugs. There are a couple things you can do. One is you can aim behind the slug you want to hit, and the other is what I'm actually doing. And it's just dragging a few of them out at a time. 3 or 4 snails coming straight at you is something that I can deal with. They aren't nearly as uppity as the leeches from Blighttown. So it's a little slow, but it will get the job done, and it'll get it done with minimal risk to myself. The souls from that previous death, I'm just going to go ahead and consider them lost, because I don't want to spend any more time in this stage than I have to, and going up there again would be a real pain in the butt. The other thing with these giant piles of slugs is that the dead ones and the alive ones move very similarly sometimes. Makes it hard to tell which is which. I'm particularly afraid of this one snail. I'm not entirely certain why. Alright, enough of them are cleared out that I should be able to make a run for the sword. Or maybe not. Maybe I should clear a few of them out before I try to grab it. Targeting the wrong one is just a recipe to miss when you use the R2 attack of a curved sword. Alright, that should do it. Get your Master Sword music on standby and press play now. This sword kicks ass. Check this out. Alright. So, it's all magical attack. Scales with faith. Weighs next to nothing. Is massive. It's actually a... it's considered a great sword, but it has no strength or dex requirements. So even, the wussiest cleric in the universe can wield it. And I'm going to dual wield. I really like my Crescent Falchion, but I also really like the Large Sword of Moonlight. And if you noticed, it also has a magical blocking property. In fact, I think it's one of the best magic shields in the game, blocking 70% of every magical attack. I mean, it's not as good as 100% magic block, which is what you can get with the Dark Steel Shield, I believe it's called. You get it in the final area of this level. But it also doesn't come with the magical dullness effect, so yeah. I think I'm going to do this for a while. Now keep in mind when you wield a sword in your left hand, L1 blocks with it, so that's what I would use to shield against magic, and you can only do strong attacks with L2. So let's go ahead and try it out on an enemy that you really shouldn't be trying new battle tactics out on. Hey, buddy! Come say hello to my giant honkin' faith sword. Yes, that is awesome. I don't care that I have to recast Second Chance and that I fought that really poorly. That was awesome. Alright, let's try it again. Now that I kind of know what I'm doing. Just like before, we don't really want to draw the caster, but it looks like we drew the caster. That's unfortunate. And I'm on the wrong side of the fence. I'm in the swamp side. That's not good. Things are not going very well. Out of the swamp, though. Out of the swamp is important, and I got a chance to heal. The poor pathfinding of that enemy basically just saved my ass. And suddenly everything's going well again now that that poison guy isn't around, and I've got plenty of room. Got greedy there, but Second Chance, once again, bailed me out. It's easily the best miracle in the game, possibly the best spell. Actually, I think it's the second best spell. Maybe third. Alright. First things first, we want to recast Second Chance. Because I'm kind of feeling empowered by this giant honkin' sword. You know, I feel like I can go get my souls back. Nothing can possibly go wrong. Progress is that way. That fog door is right at the start of the actual town segment, but we can't bypass it because there's a wall. So yeah, let's go ahead and get those souls back. Yeah, there's like 5 mosquitoes, so that's no problem. Unless they all attack simultaneously and hit you from above while you don't have a shield. And then you die.